Welcome back. Day number 14. 2 weeks in. We are just crushing this. You're doing great. Day number 14 to 30 days to a new you for law enforcement. I hope you've enjoyed these last 2 weeks. We're going to keep it going for 2 more weeks. We're pretty much at the halfway mark. That's tomorrow, 15 days. But we're just going to count it right now. Day number 14. You're pretty much halfway there. We are back to motivation. Have you stayed motivated through this last 2 weeks? Are you using people, your spouses, your partners on the force, your friends to help keep you motivated? I promised you in the beginning it wasn't going to be too difficult, and let's be honest, it hasn't been. But are you staying motivated? And I hope you are. Throughout this, I've been telling you about the #1 book you should read, Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement. This is that book right here. Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement has been the crutch of my law enforcement career, I should say. I have relied on this every single year. I reread it. I did not write this. This was written by Dr. Kevin Gilmartin, who is a renowned police officer and police psychologist. He's just done fantastic work. It's not very thick. It's about 100 pages, but this book has revolutionized my career as a law enforcement officer, and I hope it does the same for you. I am not affiliated with this book in any way. I don't get any funding or anything like that. It's just that's how much I love this book. Throughout this book, when you're reading it, right from the beginning, you get a sense of actually speaking with Dr. Gilmartin. You get that sense of he's talking to you, he's walking you through every type of encounter or every type of effect the encounters have on your law enforcement career. Right from the academy, or even before the academy, going through the rigorous selection process, to going through the academy, to finally hitting the streets. And then once you're hitting the streets, those 3, 5, 10, 15, and 20-year lulls that you hit. And the big takeaway for this book is his discussion on hypervigilance. And to just kind of recap that for you real quick, hypervigilance is pretty much every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So hypervigilance as a law enforcement officer out on the street or doing your job, serving warrants, arresting bad people, your heightened level of awareness is up here. It's through the roof, and it's just mind-blowing, and you have to be at that level all the time for an 8, 10, or 12-hour shift, sometimes even longer, 16-hour shift. And through it, your body's just dumping all these chemicals to keep yourself alert, awake, and ready to go at all times, because you never know what you're going to find. So after that, on your drive home, and especially once you get home, once you walk through that front door, your body has to crash, right? High reaction or high action, low reaction. So normally we're in this center lane, and that's where we're operating normally, and it's great, and it's, you can function there and get your rest and keep functioning there all day, all night. You're fine. You have this. But in careers such as law enforcement, or any career that is physically taxing and mentally taxing and dangerous, you're operating in this level of hypervigilance. And what career do you operate the most in? That is law enforcement. That is up there with some of the top careers, such as being a soldier in the military. I think the #1 rated risky job or dangerous job in the US, besides being a soldier on the front lines, is actually an electrician lineman who works on the power lines, just because of how dangerous one mistake on those power lines can be. But law enforcement is right up there in the top with every career. This book, when I first read it, I had to read this book when I went through my first police academy. And it was a requirement. I had to read it. And as I was getting out of the military and transitioning into law enforcement, I was like, why do I got to read this book? And as I said, since that year, I've read this book at least once a year, because that's how much it affects my entire life. And it just allows me to stay in focus with my family and with my hobbies and with my religion and everything along those lines. It just keeps me recentered and allows me to catch when I'm falling into those hypervigilance ebbs and flows. And when I'm sitting in what's called the chair in this one, where you're just sitting in a chair, you're scrolling through the TV channels and you're not actually watching anything. You're just zoned out because you're decompressing from a whole shift's work of just trauma and stress and hypervigilance. So during your motivational day, I'm telling you, reach out, try to see if you can find this book. You can find them used for a fairly decent price. I mean, I think like 25 bucks. You can obviously go on Amazon. I think it's a little bit more, or you can, try to pick this up at a bookstore, or even see if it's at a library and rent it. It's a super easy read. As I said, it's roughly about 100 pages, give or take. But this book, new law enforcement, senior law enforcement, you need to read this. If you want to make it to retirement for a law enforcement officer, you need to read this. This book will help get you to retirement, hands down, and you just have to get in there. And not only will it make you to retirement, or I should say get you to retirement, it's going to help motivate you through this 30-day challenge. The Emotional Survivor for Law Enforcement, it is a book that has revolutionized my law enforcement career, and then my career as an instructor, and also my life as a father, as a husband, and just as a friend in general. So today, day number 14, 30 days to a new you. This is a bit longer episode, but still, motivation. Are you being motivated? Are you motivated through this 30-day trial? Are you being motivated by your spouse, by your loved ones? If not, ask them to help you out with it. And if you really need that extra motivation, which I think you do, get this book. Like I said, I'm not affiliated with it. I don't get anything. It's just I am so passionate about what this book can do for you in your law enforcement career. Day number 14. I hope you enjoy it. Listen, stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.